Hi, it's me, Justine again. I'm in my closet still, but I rearranged the books a bit, so mainly to show off my unnecessarily extensive Star Wars collection. Okay, so March wrap up, yay! So you know how last month I was like, I read 7 books, and that's a lot of books. You shouldn't expect me to read 7 books every month. I mean, that's crazy. Yeah, it's been a long month. I read 10 books in March. So, the worst book I read this month, or the 10th best, was Bone Crier's Moon. I don't remember the author's name. I'm sorry. I don't have the physical book with me here because I read it like in the beginning of the month. But anyway, Bone Crier's Moon. I should have known that I wouldn't really like this book because I picked it up not really for like the plot, but because the cover was lovely. Like, look at I don't have the book, but if I was holding it, I'd point to the people on the cover and be like, look at how hot they are, okay? So I was like, yeah, okay, I'm gonna read this book. I wanna see what these hot people are up to. So it's kind of complicated because it's like the first book in the series, but um, Elise, I think that's her name. I'm gonna keep calling her Elise. I'm sorry if it's wrong, but Elise and Sabine, they're like bone criers in training. Their job is basically they need to ferry the dead, but to do that they need to do a bunch of other stuff. Like they got to kill 3 animals and take their bones, and then they have animal powers when they're wearing the bones as like jewelry, and they need that to ferry the dead. And then also for their like initiation ceremony, they gotta like stand on a bridge and play this flute, and then their soulmate comes onto the bridge and they gotta dance with them. Like they got a friend standing off the bridge to make sure that they do it, and they dance with the person. I mean, they dance with their soulmate, and then after the dance, they gotta kill them. Either that, or they can not kill their soulmate and live with them for a year and have a little bone crier child with them, and then kill them and take the kid and go back to the bone criers. And if they don't kill them after a year, then they both wither up and die. I was actually very impressed with this concept. I was like, wow, this is complicated, but I like it. So anyway, we follow Elise and Sabine in their bone criers in training, and Sebastian, who is a normal guy, but his dad got killed by a bone crier, and he was there. He was just standing off the bridge, like as an 8-year-old, and watching his dad get slaughtered. I rate this book 2 out of 5 stars, but I really liked how it started. For a book like that I didn't like very much, I really liked how it started. It starts with Sebastian watching his dad get brutally murdered, like on a bridge when he's like 8. And I was like, that's brutal, and I'm glad you went there. And then that's the prologue, and then we go to the first chapter, and Elise and Sabine are looking for Elise's last bone, last like grace bone. It's called a grace bone for like to wear as jewelry, and then she'll have like more animal powers, and then she can move on to like her initiation ceremony. So they're looking around and they see like this shark in the water. It's like a tiger shark, and Elise is like, I want that shark's bones. They both jump in and they're like they're like fighting this shark. They're like punching him. They got like a spear, and the shark's like biting at them. It's really great. I was like, whoa, I am so glad we started off with 1, Sebastian's dad getting murdered, and 2, these 2 girls who are best friends just grappling with the shark underwater, and they're wearing like gowns too because they're feminine. I was really into their dynamic. I really liked Sabine and Elise. They were just fun, just 2 besties doing whatever. But then Sebastian comes back and everything just goes downhill from there. I didn't like Sebastian and Elise's romance. I feel like it mainly revolved around, is Sebastian Elise's soulmate? If he is, then he will love her. And if he realizes that he isn't, then he just won't love her. And I'm like, I feel like if he was her soulmate, he'd love her even if he thought he wasn't her soulmate. That kind of defeats the purpose of soulmate, you know? And also, most of their romance hinged on how attractive both of them were. And then there was also like this love triangle, like what Sebastian and his blonde friend, whatever her name was, She was very French. Julia? I don't know. She was named something, and she was blonde. And there's like a love triangle between Sebastian and this blonde girl and Elise. But obviously, he's gonna get with Elise. They're on the cover together. Like, it's not gonna be this blonde girl, so what's the point of even introducing her? But my favorite character was Sabine, and I just wanted more Sabine, but I felt like Sabine was such a side character. She was so removed from the main plot, because there are three main characters, right? Elise, Sabine, and Sebastian. But because Elise and Sebastian are together, like, almost the entire book, and Sabine is off by herself, we can't really care that much about what Sabine's doing. She's, like, overcoming her veganism by, like, killing animals, I guess, but she's like, half the time she's doing that and half the time she's looking for Elise. And I didn't like how they were separated for so long, because I thought they were my favorite dynamic in like the entire book, like Elise and Sabine. But they weren't. They were together for the first part where they wrestled that shark, and then for like the last part where they don't even like talk to each other. They just stand there and watch as like the events unfold. I might be reading the sequel, because the sequel, it has Sabine on it on the cover, so. And because I like Sabine, maybe I'll read it. But also, it's possible that I only like Sabine in comparison to Elise and Sebastian, and maybe she's not a great character. I wasn't invested in any of the romance, and the side characters did not matter. Sabine is single-handedly holding up this entire book. So, hooray! 2 stars for Sabine. So, the second worst book I read this month, or the 9th best, was A Song Below Water, which isn't good because I feel like everybody really liked this book, and I felt kind of bad for rating it so low. A Song Below Water is about 2 black girls and their best friends, and also like kind of sisters. And Tavia, I'm gonna call her Tavia, I'm so sorry if I pronounced it wrong, but she's a siren, and sirens like exist in this society. It's like a kind of like a fantasy situation. It's like modern day, but they're sirens and Alokos, which are like sirens, but they're more generally accepted, and they're like gargoyles. There's a bunch of random stuff. Tavia is like a siren, and she doesn't want anyone to know she's a siren, because sirens can, like, if you know Percy Jackson, like charm speak when they like let out their siren song. So I thought this was funny, but like she has this thing where like for certain parts of the day she can't talk, because if she talks she's doing the charm speak thing. So she just pretends she's mute for like a certain amount of the day until she isn't like siren-y anymore. So that's the first character, and Effie, her sister best friend person, she's just a normal girl, and she's like, she performs as a mermaid at a Renaissance fair. It's kind of like a analogy for like the treatment of black women in the US. I rate this book 3 out of 5 stars. I feel like the pacing was very off, mainly because like I started reading this in the very beginning of the month, and I finished like pretty late, because I started reading and I was like 3 chapters in, and I was just so bored. Like, 1, I didn't really know what was going on, and 2, I was bored. Like, whatever was going on, it wasn't interesting. Like, for the entire first half of the book, nothing was really happening. I put it down in the beginning of the month, and then I was like waiting to get back to it, but I was like dreading like continuing to read it, and I feel like that really says something about how boring the beginning was. It was good commentary, I liked the friendship, but the pacing was just so bad. I'm so sorry. So the third worst book and 8th best book I read this month was Shadow and Bone by Leigh Bardugo. I'm reading this because, you might know, there is a Netflix TV show coming out soon, Shadow and Bone, and it features some of the characters in Six of Crows. So I was like, yeah, I really want to watch this TV show, but I don't want to like ruin the Grisha trilogy for myself, so I should probably read the Grisha trilogy before I watch the show. So that's why I read Shadow and Bone. So it's also kind of complicated because it's a series, and I feel like all series, you gotta have like a complicated magic system. And it follows like Alina and her friend Mal. Well, it mainly follows Alina. Alina, and she's just a map maker in the army, and there's like a war. Sorry, I can't really remember what the war they're fighting against, but the main thing is that there's the Fold, which is like a river of just like blackness, and like it's like a wall of black, of like darkness, and when you enter there are like these flying monster things that are gonna eat you. So it's really dangerous. We don't know why it's there. And well, we know why it's there, but or do we know why it's there? So everybody's got to cross it to get to the ocean, so clearly it's not great. It's not a great situation. So when Alina and her friend Mal and like all the army people are crossing it, they're getting attacked, and Alina like unleashes this bright light, and then she realizes that she has like light powers. And the Darkling, his name is the Darkling. It's really great. You know, no better way to write a morally gray character than naming him the Darkling. He gets there and he's like, hi, I'm the Darkling, and I'm going to take you to my palace, where you're going to learn how to harness your light energy, and you can destroy the Fold for us. And she's like, yay, great. So she goes there, and I was pretty hyped for like the beginning. I was like, wow, she's going to go there, and she's going to learn how to master her powers and fight things. We get there, and she's there for like, I'm not even kidding, she's there for like 200 pages. She's just at the castle, like, chilling. She's like, I don't fit in with these noble people. I'm like, but I thought that wasn't the point. I thought you were gonna go fight stuff. So I was waiting for a while for her to like get out of the palace and like go do things. But she was there for so long, and she'd talk about like what happens during her lessons of like light control and fighting. And Alina's like, everyone here is so attractive, but I'm so plain. Okay, I'm gonna be making probably gonna be making a Shadow and Bone, like, trilogy video once I finish all the books, so I feel like I can probably cut this shorter, but my main problems with it, the magic system, kind of complicated. They have, like, a whole thing in the front where they name everything. Oh, shoot! I actually have the book here. I forgot about it. Okay, so they have, like, a whole magic system thing. Well, they got a map for starters. Here's the Fold. It's, like, it's got these flying things there, looking kind of creepy. And here are all, like, the magic people things. They got complicated names, like, so it's, like, Corporalky and Etherealky and Materialky. And then under that there are Heartrenders, Healers, Squallers, Inferni, Tidemakers, Duras, and Alchemy. It's like, girl, I can't remember all that. So, literally, whenever anybody mentions, like, anyone, like, Genya's blah blah, I just, like, skip over it. I'm like, I'm not gonna go to the front of the page to figure out what the hell she does. The palace part was boring, the side characters were bland, and Alina was kind of plain. But other than that, I surprisingly enjoyed the plot. I didn't think I'd care about it that much. And Mal, I really liked Mal. I thought he was sweet, but also maybe just in comparison to everybody else. So the fourth worst book and the seventh best book, I'm getting a little confused, I read this month was Darius the Great Deserves Better. I have the book here so I can hold it up. I made a mistake. I mainly picked this up for the cover. It looks great. The color scheme, flawless. Turns out this is the second book in a series. I screwed up. Sorry. And the stupid thing was that I didn't even figure it out until, like, I was halfway through the book. Because if you look on the back, the first book, Praise for Darius the Great is Not Okay. So, that's the first book. I should have read that one first. But whatever, I was confused because they keep mentioning, like, a trip to, like, Iran. And they're like, I was changed. I was forever changed. And I was like, what happened? It's like a coming-of-age situation. Like, Darius has, like, a boyfriend, and there's, like, relationship drama, there's family stuff, there's, like, his job, his tea shop job, there's job drama, there's just overall drama, and also, I guess, like, discussions on, like, mental health and other things, which I did enjoy, but also, I don't know how to phrase this, but like I wasn't that into it. It just wasn't for me, I guess. I liked Darius a lot. I thought he was really relatable. I liked Darius. I thought he was good, but there were, I guess, like a pacing, just things were happening, and I don't know. I like a very straightforward book, I guess. And I don't know, this wasn't straightforward, but that doesn't mean it was bad. A lot of people really like it, and that's why I felt bad for rating it. I'm rating it 4 out of 5 stars, but like a low 4 out of 5 stars. That's why it's 4th worst, 7th best. Yeah, will I read the first book? Maybe, probably not. I don't know. I'm just not that into it, but it's kind of like a personal preference thing, you know? I really like the cover. I don't know, I feel bad about this one. The 5th worst book and the 6th best book I read this month was Chain of Gold by Cassandra Clare. Yay! Finally reading it. Cassandra Clare, I love and hate Cassandra Clare. Like, every Cassandra Clare book I've read, I've had strong feelings about. So, like, whether they be good or bad, and usually they're both good and bad. So, I'm just gonna read this. So, I'm gonna be making a separate video on this because I have so many thoughts. But, oh, I have the book here, by the way. Look at how fat she is. She thick. I'm just gonna, like, go through my main points that I'm probably gonna mention in the video. I love the little thing this comes with. It comes with like a little portrait of all the characters. Oh my gosh, it's lovely. It's so gorgeous. But it really lets you know just how many characters are here. There are a lot of people. By the way, I know there's like a really weird highlight on my nose. It's because I have like a light bulb right over there to like make the lighting a little better, but it's really not. This is like the sequel series to the Infernal Devices. So instead of the Victorian era, they're like in the Edwardian era. And Cordelia Carstairs, who is like, she's like Jem's cousin, and she's Persian. Oh my god. Look, we got our usual lineup of hot people, except for, are those people of color I see? Oh my god, I was shooketh. I was like, they're not white? Oh, Cassandra Clare. So anyway, Cordelia and her brother Alistair, they go to London because their dad is like, he's like accused of doing a bad thing, basically. And so they're going to London with their mom to like up their reputation, you know, in case, so that more people will support their dad. They're in London, they're like staying with their friends. They're like hanging out with their friends who are James and Lucy. God, I keep carrying this heavy, like, noisy book around. We got our characters. James. Cordelia is in love with James, but James loves somebody else. And Cordelia is best friends with James' sister Lucy, and James is best friends with Matthew. He's an alcoholic. You can tell because he's the only one with a wine glass. So literal, I love it. And then we got all our side characters here. We don't care about them really, like, at all. We got, like, there are 2 ghosts here. They're ghosts. They're dead. That's why they're framed, because they're dead. I must say, like, no matter how much I feel like Cassandra Clare's books are not good, the woman's got ambition, okay? She just does it all. She does not stop. I feel like the main appeal of Cassandra Clare books, why I keep coming back to them even though they're bad, I guess, is she just has so many different plot points going on. You can just pick and choose which ones you care about and not really read too far into the ones that you don't care about. I was really interested in Alistair's thing, Matthew's thing, Thomas's thing, which is kind of the same thing as Alistair's thing, if you know what I mean. And I like Cordelia too. I liked Cordelia and Alistair. I kind of cared about Lucy a little bit. But James, this man was bland. If someone was holding me like at gunpoint and they were like, you better name one of James' personality traits, I just died. Like, I can't think of a single one. Is he smart? Is he nice? Is he funny? I don't know. What is he? He's not really anything. He is indecisive as to which girl he likes. That's one thing. That's a character trait. He's attractive, but that's not really a character trait. He's really hot. That's one thing. he doesn't want to join his demon grandfather, so he's not inherently, like, devilishly evil. Great! Amazing! So, yeah. I feel like we were trying to fit too many characters in. I was quite confused. I couldn't even, like, identify who most of these people were until I got to, like, the middle. Because there were so many characters in Infernal Devices, and all these characters obviously have to have children. Yeah, that's... I'll be making a separate video. Sorry, I already talked too much about it. So, the 6th worst and 5th best book I read this month was Almost American Girl, which is a graphic novel that I do not have here, which kind of sucks because I would like to show you the art. It's about a Korean girl who moves to the US with her mom for reasons, and like her being assimilated into American culture and getting friends and stuff. And I rate this book 4 out of 5 stars. I thought this was sweet. It was nice. It was good. It was just good. Our main girl, Robin, I liked her. It's an kind of like an autobiography, not really. It's like about the author, because the author is Robin, and she's like telling you about assimilating into American culture. And I really like the discussion of like the difference between like American culture and Korean culture, and also I don't know, racism in the US. But I feel like I'm just not used to reading books that are like, they don't have like a linear storyline. Like there's this one section, because they go by like chapters, I guess, but each chapter is kind of unrelated to the other chapter. Like in this one chapter, Robin goes trick-or-treating with her white friend, and that's how it goes. And then we never see that white friend again. We just move on, I guess. I liked it. I really enjoyed the return to Korea. It was good. I don't know, it was just good. I don't have strong feelings about this. So the 7th bet 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So the 7th best and wait, no, so the 7th worst and oh my god, I'm getting so mixed up. Okay, so the 7th worst and the 4th best book I read this month was The Dutch House by somebody whose name I don't remember. This is about it's described as a modern day fairy tale, which I mean I kind of disagree with, but it's okay, it was still good. It follows Danny, who is the main character, and his sister Maeve. Like follows them from when they were children, and they live in like this huge mansion called the Dutch House, and their dad remarries this woman named Andrea, and then shenanigans happen. Basically follows them throughout their entire lives. So yeah, it basically discusses how like they're very connected to the Dutch House, and how they're like still affected by the trauma they experienced as children, as like adults. I enjoyed it, but I feel like I'm also, like, similarly to Almost American Girl, I'm not used to like the format of like following these people throughout like their entire lives, you know. I like a Cassandra Clare type of person, you know. They got the different, most dramatic plot points. Like there were parts in the book where I was pretty bored, like when Danny's discussing like his real estate endeavors. I was also kind of bored at the romance, which was like weird. I'm never really bored at the romance, but because it was like, it wasn't interesting romance. It was just like normal people romance, and I'm not interested in that. I'm interested in like interesting people romance. But it's like objectively good. I love the characters. I love Danny and Maeve. I thought they were really well done. I liked especially the end when they like confront their Dutch house situation. So yeah, I don't have strong opinions on this. I'm just like, it was a book that was good. The 8th worst book and the 3rd best book I read this month was Only Mostly Devastated by an author whose name I can't remember because I do not have the book. It's like a Grease retelling, but it's gay. It's a gay Grease retelling, and at first I was like, that's kind of random. Like, what's the point of that? But then I understood. It makes so much more sense. I feel like a main reason that I didn't enjoy Grease that much, I mean, it was decent, it was fun, but like, Why was Danny Zuko so, like, so scared, like, of showing affection towards Sandy, because then his friends would know that he was, like, soft towards his girlfriend? I'm like, isn't that a good thing? I didn't even know why he was scared of that. But this one makes so much more sense, because in this one, Danny Zuko, but his name's not Danny Zuko, it's Will. He's in the closet, so it makes a lot more sense why he wouldn't show affection towards the leading person, who is Ollie. Okay, so I'm rated this book 4 out of 5 stars. And yeah, it was a good time. I don't know what to say. It was just good. Actually, I do know what to say. The side characters. The side characters weren't amazing, especially when they're, like, featured on the cover. I'm, like, doing this, like I'm holding the book, but I'm, like, not. They're, like, featured on the cover. They're on the cover, right? So it's like they're gonna be big characters, but also they were just very dull. There was almost, like, no need for them. It was kind of weird how they, like, automatically befriended Ollie, like, when he just got there, because I don't know, they seemed like pretty popular people. Why are they automatically friends with Ollie? And then, like, the 3 girls especially, even the lesbian, she was so bland. Like, I don't know, there was no need for them to be there. Each of them just represented a struggle or something. And then we got, like, the 2 friends of Will, who he thinks will be, like, judgmental. They don't have personalities, but it's okay. But it didn't really matter to me. I mean, like, it did kind of matter to me, so... Also, there was just, like, a lot more stuff going on than in Greece. Like, his aunt has cancer, and that's a whole thing. I thought I was gonna cry at that part, but I didn't. I cried at a totally different part. So, yeah, it gets points because it made me cry, and I feel like anything that makes me cry is well written. Or I'm just feeling some type of way, which I kind of was. So, yeah, 4 out of 5 stars, only mostly devastated, better than Grease. But it's Grease without the musical and a book, and they're gay. So, the 9th worst book and the 2nd best book I read this month was Fangirl by Rainbow Rowell. My voice. I've been filming for so long. I love Rainbow Rowell. She is so amazing. She is my queen. So, Fangirl. It's about Cass. And Cass is in college now. She's in college, and she writes fan fiction for Simon Snow and Boz. I'm gonna call him Boz, okay? We're gonna get over it if it's wrong, okay? So, like, from Wayward Son and Carry On, which I reviewed in January. I don't really know what happened, but, like, half this review of Fangirl is missing. My sister started taking a shower, and I, like, stopped filming for a second, and I guess I just, like, never got back to talking about it. Wow, that was really good. So here I am looking a little crappier, and I'm gonna just fill in. Okay, so I read this book 4 out of 5 stars. When I finished this book, I really thought it was just gonna be 5 stars because I was just really impressed with it. It was just so good. I had such a good time reading it, and I loved the characters. I loved everything. I really liked Kath. I really liked Levi. I really loved everybody. And Kath really, I don't know, I thought she was a really accurate portrayal of, I guess, not shy, but, like, socially anxious person. Not that I'm super socially anxious, but there's, like, this one point where when she first, like, goes to college, I guess, she just never goes to the cafeteria because she's scared of finding a seat there, so she lives off, like, protein bars in her dorm room. And I was like, yeah, and that's something I might do if I was, like, magnified like 10 times. When I was done reading this book, I, like, immediately ran downstairs and harassed my mom about how good it was for, like, 20 minutes. It wasn't amazing, but, like, I know, I was just so impressed by it. It was just so fun. And I love how Rainbow Rowell describes, like, people, I guess. Like, I don't really have the quotes here, but it's just so creative. Like, Kat spends a lot of time, like, looking at Levi because they're love interests, you know, so she needs to describe him in, like, many different ways. And one of them is, like, he has, like, a small mouth, and she wonders whether or not he has trouble getting it wide enough to eat an apple. so, like, it's so random, it's so good. And then this other one, like how he stands, like he makes standing look like vertical lying down. What? Oh my gosh, the creativity. I love it. I feel like Fangirl does a really good job of portraying the obsession with books, I guess. Like, when the last book of Simon Snow comes out in Fangirl, Kath and her sister Ren, they like get to the bookstore early so they can get it, like be one of the first ones to get it, and when Kath like has it in her hands, she starts crying because it's just something that she loves so much, and I think it's a really accurate portrayal. And yes, I have done that. Like, I don't know, because it's over, you know, and it's the last book, and you're never gonna read it for the first time again, and the series is over, and it's really upsetting. It's very sad. It's like bittersweet. But the reason I didn't rate it 5 out of 5 stars is because after I read it, I went to Goodreads to like read some of the reviews, and there's this one was pretty high up, and this person gave it 1 star because it wasn't exploring the fan fiction community well enough. And at first I was like, oh, that's stupid, but then the more I thought about it, I was like, oh no, it's actually not, because Kath is a pretty famous fan fiction writer. She's probably one of the top, like, Boz and Simon fan fiction writers, which is the equivalent of if you were the top Drarry fan fiction writer, which you would be famous. Like, you'd have a lot of fans, and that's pretty, like, significant, I guess. And you'd probably interact with your fans a lot more than Kath does. I do feel like they could have explored that a bit more, like, insight into the fan fiction writing thing, which I don't have because I don't really write fan fiction, at least not any that I've published. I know, it really could have been 5 stars, and I really, really enjoyed this book. I highly recommend it. And the 10th worst and first best and best, just best, not first best, book I read this month was They Both Die at the End. Author, I don't know, but I'll put the book up so you'll know. I did kind of spoil it for myself. Like, last year I tried reading it, like before the pandemic. I was like in the library trying to read it, but because I didn't have my library card, I didn't want to like check it out. So I sat there reading it for maybe like a few, like 20 minutes, and then I put it down, and I was like, yeah, it wasn't that good anyway. But everybody's raving about it. Well, everybody was raving about it. I'm like late to the bandwagon, but it's okay. I'm here now. And also, another huge reason I did not want to read this book was the character names. Their names, I don't know if this was purposeful, like giving them the ugliest names possible, or Mateo and Rufus. Rufus is the one I have the bigger problem with, okay? Rufus is a dog name. If your name is Rufus, you are a dog. Legally, you are a dog. That is a fact, okay? It's like right up there with Rover and Scout. Like, Rufus is the equivalent, is as much of a dog name as Rover and Scout are, okay? Like, that's like if I met a human named Rover. It's not possible. There are no humans named Rover, and there should be no humans named Rufus. That's right, okay. And Mateo, also, this is more personal to me. I have beef with every Mateo in existence because the first Mateo, and only Mateo, I have ever met was awful to me in 2nd grade. So, yeah, that's that. I'm against the name Mateo. If your name is Mateo, I'm sorry, but I will likely not like you. Yeah, that's why I was like, how am I going to get through this entire book of people named Mateo and Rufus? And what makes it worse is that throughout the book, they frequently comment on how much they like the other person's name. Why? Why do you like Rufus? Why do you like the name Rufus? It's not good. It's not normal. Nobody likes the name Rufus. For a person, at least. So, anyway, moving on. I still read this book, and it's about Mateo and Rufus, and they live in like this world where there's like this app. Not like this app, I don't know, like somebody will call you and tell you, like, on the day you're going to die, that you're going to die that day. And so Rufus and Mateo both get called by, like, Deathcast. Yeah, that's what it's called. And they're like, you're gonna die today, and they're all sad about it and stuff. but they don't have anyone to spend the day with, so they go on like this app. It's called the Last Friend app, where people who are gonna die that day go on and they find a friend who is also gonna die that day. So Mateo and Rufus find each other. They have their last day together, and it's sad. Yeah, I admit it. I did cry, okay? I rate this 5 out of 5 stars. Despite their ugly names, their ugly ass names, I still really enjoyed it. It made me cry, like, a lot. And, yeah, it was sad. I'll give them that, okay? You win. Even though the names were ugly, you still win. I feel like even if it wasn't a romance, I'd still love it, because I don't know, it's just two people spending their last day together, and it was sad, okay? Like, every time they did anything, somebody would comment, like, one of them would think, this is my last time doing this, and I'm like, oh my god, like, I can't. Like, they're at a restaurant together, at Rufus's favorite restaurant or something, and then Mateo's like, Rufus is eating his favorite food for the last time, and then Mateo, like, falls asleep on, like, the subway, and he's like, that's the last time I'm gonna dream. What the heck? Like, at first I was like, this is a little, like, repetitive, but I cried every time, okay? I can't. Because I kept, like, imagining myself in that situation. I was like, I'm not ready to die. I was gonna rate this 4 out of 5 stars, but I didn't want to be petty and rate it 4 out of 5 stars just because the names are ugly. Like, I don't know, it's still really good. I couldn't think of, like, anything bad about it. I know a lot of people were pissed about the ending, about how they died, because it was, like, basic and lame, but I feel like that just says more about death, and sometimes it's basic and lame, and it's not dramatic and good, and it's not like a main character death, but it doesn't matter, because they're still dead. Okay, yeah, this book, no, I cried a lot, and I did not expect to. And I thought, because I spoiled it for myself, like, last year when I was reading it, I slipped to the end, and I was like, oh, that's how they die, that's kind of lame. But when you read the whole book, it's, like, it means a lot. It doesn't, like, mean a lot more, but, like, it hits a lot harder, you know? Like, I was a lot more sad about it. And I expected to not like how they died, and I was gonna be like, well, I'm gonna rate this 4 out of 5 stars because it was decent, but I don't like how they died. But I did like how they died. Like, I didn't like how they died because it made me sad, but... And also, there's this thing where they have, like, random POVs of other characters who are also gonna die that day. Delilah slaughtered me, okay? I don't know, I was weeping. I was weeping for Delilah. Anyway, moving on. I've been talking about this too long. Point is, it was good, it made me cry, their names were ugly, but that's okay. So, yeah, that was all the books I read this month. Look out for my, my Chain of Gold review video, and also Shadow and Bone trilogy video. Those should be coming out, like, in April, which is, I guess, like, yeah, April. They should be coming out in April. Thanks so much for watching. I'm sorry this video was a bit of a longer one. Comment, please, and tell me things, tell me criticisms, but don't be hateful. Just tell me things like, hey, your video was crazy long, split it into like 2 parts next time, girl. Or, hey, the lighting in the closet looks like shit, like the highlight on your nose is crap, like it doesn't look cute. Like this video and subscribe to me right now. It's no longer your choice. You better subscribe. Okay, thank you. Thanks for watching. Bye.